Okay, video 4 already, colouring your soap with natural ingredients or even better, ingredients from your kitchen. I'm a big fan of Soap Making Made Easy, as you probably know, it's my mantra, and keeping things affordable for everybody. So you don't need to spend a lot of money on colourants for your soap at all. There are so many great options in the kitchen you can find, such as cocoa powder, paprika, spirulina, turmeric, or coffee grounds. Coffee grounds is a good one if you want a nice speckled brown as well. You can also use things like pureed carrots and bananas, although I'm not going to be getting into using foodstuffs in your soap today. You can make it as simple or as complicated as you like, but because I like to keep things really simple, I add my colourants to my soap batter before I put it in the mould. There are other options. You can infuse your powders or petals, etc., in your oil for days, weeks before you use it, and then the oil will take on the colour. You can use your colourant in your lye water if you want to, so you can pop your paprika powder directly in your lye water if you want to. But the downside of those, as I see it, is that colours the whole soap and it reduces your options when it comes to doing patterns and swirls with your colours. So I like to add it directly to the batter, and also I don't really need to do any pre-preparation. So yeah, I'm quite lazy in that respect, but it works well for me. What are your options? Let's have a little look through what your options are. So I'm just going to change my screen so I can see what I'm showing you. Right, there we go. So starting right at the very beginning, this one here is a really lovely yellow colour. I haven't coloured that with anything at all. All I've done is used essential oils, which are quite yellowy, so lemongrass is the key one in this. My batter is also quite yellow because I've got my olive oil and my cocoa powder in it. And yeah, just checking I've got my microphone on. What I've done here is use that to my advantage with the yellow, and then used titanium dioxide just to lighten the bottom layer to give the contrast and put poppy seeds in. So that has no colourant in at all. Turmeric you would think would be quite a yellow colour. Sadly not using this method anyway. So it's actually a golden brown, and it's not that well defined here, but it is golden brown swirls on that one. So that's just turmeric straight out of the spice jar. This one is a beautiful orange. It's not that clear on the video, but in the flesh it's a lovely orange, and it is paprika, again added straight to the batter. It does give a little bit of a scratchy texture. Paprika's not that finely ground, but not unpleasantly so, so it's absolutely fine to use like that. Next one, let's go for, so this one here is a combination, you can see in focus, the browns and the blacks, that way. So the black is activated charcoal and the brown is cocoa powder. And then I've used a portion of just left the batter in its own colour. So in effect, I've got three colours, the creamy colour, the black and the chocolate colour, to give that swirl effect. So activated charcoal, I appreciate you wouldn't generally have that in your kitchen, but it's a natural colourant and it's one that's quite easy to get hold of. This is another activated charcoal swirly one. In fact, the picture behind me, just noticed that one is activated charcoal as well. So it's really dramatic for that. This one, again, I just wanted to show you, I appreciate you probably won't have the ingredients in your kitchen, but it's a green clay mixed with kelp powder, which the kelp powder gives that speckly effect as well. So the two together give the green. But it's just an example of what you can achieve with different ingredients. Okay. So how much would you use on those? I've got it written down so that I don't forget. As a guide, and this is really a guide because there's a lot depending on the colour of your base recipe. If you're using, for example, 100% coconut oil, then your soap batter will be a lot whiter anyway. But mine's quite yellowy generally, so this is how I work it. If you're making a 1 kilogram batch for cocoa powder, use at a starting point 1 gram per 100 grams of oils. So if you're colouring your whole kilogram batch with cocoa powder, you need to use at least 10 grams. That is a starting point. It will give you a pale brown. For a more chocolatey brown, just step it up a little bit, up to sort of 1.5 grams. Turmeric, paprika, spirulina, that kind of thing, I would use them at 1 to 1.5 grams per 100 grams of my oils. Clays, they need a little bit more help generally, so I would suggest you use them at a starting point of 2 grams per 100 grams of oils. Charcoal, activated charcoal, a little goes a long way, and it's really fine powder, so it goes everywhere, so be careful of that. A maximum of 0.5 grams per 100 grams of your batter. Okay, now bear in mind that if you are wanting to do, say layers, so you want to do 50-50, you're only going to be colouring half your batter, so you would need half the amount of colourant. If you're doing swirls, I normally colour a maximum of 1/4 of my batter, because less is more with swirls, sometimes less than that. So you would need to use 1/4 of the colourant as well, because you're only going to be colouring a small amount of your batter. Also, when you're prepping your ingredients, I will normally use a small amount of my olive oil to mix my powder, whatever I'm using as a colourant, to a slurry paste, a pourable slurry, so that you can pour it into your soap batter when you mix it. And that will ensure it doesn't clump, and it mixes in much more smoothly. It's fair to say, if you're using plant-based colourants, so spirulina, for example, in this case, they will fade a lot faster than any other colours. So anything plant-based will fade. With these spices and the activated charcoal, the cocoa powder, I find they last really, really well. So, and the clays as well. They do last well. They don't tend to fade. If you want to have something that pops at you, a really bright colour, you are going to have to go down the mica or oxide route, because you just cannot achieve those really bright colours with natural colourants. But again, this is just a whistle-stop tour to give you an idea of using ingredients that you might find in your kitchen, or ones that are natural, with a framework of percentages or quantities to use, just to get you started. But again, it's trial and error as well. Okay, so I'll leave you with that to have a little think about it. The final video is where I'm going to put it all together. I'm going to show you how I use one of those colourants that I pretty much guarantee you will find in your kitchen. I think virtually everyone will have it. Making my soap, and also using some botanicals that you'll probably find in your kitchen as well to decorate it. So that'll be exciting. So I'll see you in the next video.